Hey everyone, I'm Allie from Titan. Thank you for having me here, and you are listening to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast.
Hello everybody, my name is Ian Taylor and welcome to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast, brought to you by the Marvel Cards Fan Collective, an awesome community of card collectors and creators. You can find our two groups on Facebook, details of which are at the end of this podcast. With me, as always, is my co-pilot in all things Marvel cards. Well, that's not strictly true because there's no sign of Norrin this morning, folks. However, we do have a guest this week. I'm just going to get straight into it. Otherwise, I'll just be talking to myself. It gives me great pleasure to welcome someone you're probably all aware of, or you've seen her awesome videos, or her breaks that she does. With me this morning is Allie from Titan. Good morning.
Hey, thank you for having me. This is Allie from Titan. You're listening to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast.
Hey, you're getting some practice in already. I love it. So, Allie, I've got loads of questions about who you are and what you do. So just kind of just give me a little bit of your what you do, why people would know you, what it is that you do as your job.
All right. Primarily, people may see me over on YouTube, but what I do and what I've kind of worked myself into position is just opening up lots of different types of cards, doing live openings, also a lot of recorded videos. Some of our most popular things that watch tend to be the Star Wars and Marvel openings. So even though I personally don't have the world's largest collection of Marvel cards, that is something I really enjoy. Love watching all the movies. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I like to do, like showing off new products when they release. Of course, if Upper Deck releases the products on time, which has been an issue this past year with getting products out. Yep. But people may see me doing, if they're looking for Marvel openings, maybe like little box reviews to see what like a typical box may look like, or just to get an idea of what new products would look like. Like actually, not sure how long it will be between the recording and the podcast going up, but this past Friday, Black Diamond Marvel was supposed to be coming out. Unfortunately, that did get pushed, it looks like, till the end of May. So people may have been anticipating that. I was really excited for it. But we were going to do a live opening on release date of that, showing off that product. So people may stumble across videos that way, just searching for new product releases from Upper Deck.
Yeah, we'll probably be about, where are we now? We'll probably be about 3 weeks until this drops. Okay. So it should be hopefully somewhere near to release date by that point. So maybe people will have seen it.
Perhaps.
Our episode that we released last week was actually solely focused on Black Diamond because we interviewed Grant from their head of product development. And so we actually recorded it back in January. The idea being we'd release it around the time the episode was, we'd release the episode around the time the set was going to drop. But of course, that's not happening. I've just had a text from Norrin. Oh, I think he's poorly. I think he's sick. Oh no. Dear. So it'll just be thee and me.
Get just well be thee and me
today. Yeah. Well, hopefully it'll be cool. So I want to kind of rewind a little bit and say, how do you get into doing, because you're online an awful lot. So would I be correct in that's your kind of main, your living, if you like, your main thing that you do for a job?
Yeah, this is what I do full time. And even though people see a lot of videos, a lot of live streams, I do a lot of behind the scenes work as well. I'm usually working between like 45 to 55 hours a week. It's gone up more than that when there's like big releases, lots of for the shop. If we're opening up cases for singles, getting all of that listed does put extra time. Yeah. But I like to pride myself when I do openings for people, like personal breaks, whether it be live or recorded. I'm also the person that takes care of all the shipping. So like who's touching your cards. Always like to double box everything. So it does take some time, but we want everyone's stuff to arrive, within a reasonable amount of time in good condition and just taking care of things. We're a pretty small shop. It's actually just my boss and I for doing, like, he runs the physical store. I do the online stuff. We have an assistant for the trading card game website to do some of the lower tier mail just because my boss wants limited access to the accounts that pay for shipping labels and whatnot. So I still take care of the higher end stuff. So he helps with that kind of mail. And we have a new assistant part-time in the shop as well to help people find cards, just because it's getting overwhelming. But it was just for many years, just my boss and I working on things. And I had started the YouTube channel actually because my boss has friends that have often watched Breakers and been like, we should do something like that. Tried it out a couple times, never really worked out. I was just like, hey, let me try it. That way it's all in-house. It's us together. We already work together. It should work out. So we just tried it, and it seems people enjoy watching me open cards. So it's kind of become bigger than we had both anticipated.
Well, yeah, and then some. So when did you start doing the YouTube? When did you try it out and then get the ball rolling on that?
We had kind of thought about the idea in December of 2019, and we had planned that maybe start with the new Magic release in January of 2020. It was Theros Beyond Death. And just because we open up a lot of singles for the shop anyways, of both trading cards and sports and non-sports, just because my boss and I like to collect all different kinds of things. We're very nosy, like checking out the product. And before distributor allocations got pretty poor, especially on sports product, we get a lot of product in. And the shop is physically very small, even though we've been in this location for, I think, usually say 5 years, but I think it's going on 6 years now. There's not too many people in the area that know about us, because I think even in the Pinellas County and Hillsborough County area, I think there's like 13 different trading card shops. So there's a lot of different options for people. So it's pretty spread out. So we used to have a lot of extra product that we could open up and sell singles on eBay and the different TCG player websites. So we used to open up a lot anyways. So when we first started the channel, we weren't really doing anything we didn't already do. We'd already open up all the products that come out, just decided, hey, we have this little webcam. Try recording it, see if people maybe find the shop that way. It was initially just supposed to be like a little advertisement for the shop. People might stumble across, oh, Titan Cards. Oh, they're in Pinellas Park. I live near there. Go check it out. So that was the initial reasoning for why we made the channel. Cool. And that was in mid-January of 2020.
Okay, so just in time for a pandemic. Lovely time. Lovely timing on that. So for those who don't know, what area are you in? Where are you based?
We're in Pinellas County, Florida, which is on the left side of Florida, the West Coast, near Tampa Bay.
Okay.
So kind of mid-Florida.
All right. And we talked about this before we started recording. If Norrin were here now, he'd be chuckling mightily about this. Yes, folks, another episode where we have someone who lives in and or works in or comes from Florida, as you do, because you're born and raised. Yeah, you're from that area. Yeah.
Yep, born in St. Pete.
Okay, good. I'm nodding. I have no idea where that is. I'm in England right now, as you can probably tell. So one of these days I will get to Florida. I've heard good things, although I know it's a big state, and there's a lot of differences to different parts of it. But one day. So the store. So you've been working at that store what, 5-6 years now?
The store has existed under my boss for that much. Okay. That's how long actually I had been shopping. I actually found the shop when I was in high school, when it was the older owner, because I played the card game Yu-Gi-Oh! So I was looking for just singles. One day stumbled across the shop, and then maybe about 2 months after I'd started playing, I show up and there's a new owner. So my boss had bought the shop from the previous owner. The other owner just wanted to retire. They'd been friends for a while. He used to buy cases and open singles for himself to sell online. So he just transitioned into bought the shop, bought the current inventory, which wasn't too much. So from what I understand, it wasn't that very much expensive for him to do so. So he's that's what he got into. And I have been, this is, I think, in July will be my 4th year here.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I remember I had just shown up one day and my boss had said, oh, well, the other person can no longer come on the weekends because their ride changed. How they used to get to work. They used to get dropped off and picked up because there's only one car, I think, in the family. And they can no longer come in on the times, and asked me if I just wanted to start coming instead. So that's how I got hired. I have no tips or tricks for anyone getting into card shops. I just showed up and it worked out.
All those years of study that made you the woman that you are today. I find it fascinating. So I've got loads of questions here. So I'm just gonna because I think what you do, and having seen what you do on the breaks, because I watched a lot of the Marvel anime one, I think I watched a lot of, and that one was a hoot. because I think you dressed as Black Cat for that. Am I right? Is that the one you dressed as Black Cat? So personally, if you hadn't guessed, I'm a big Black Cat collector. I collect sketches and all sorts of cards about her, as well as everything else. So that's the one I watched, and I remember starting to watch it, and it was in the afternoon, my time, and I finished work because everyone's working from home because it's COVID central this past year, and then I went downstairs and I had dinner with the family, did my daughter's bath time. She went to bed, and by then it's like 5-6 hours later. I quickly looked on my phone, and you're still going. You're still going. So much so your voice had like half gone.
Right.
And you were like, the costume's not starting to get a bit uncomfortable now.
It was very warm.
Yeah. I've never tried the Black Cat outfit, but I think if you do it properly, it is quite a warm one. But you made it. You do make it look easy because obviously you're very used to doing it. But I'm aware of the fact that with when you do live breaks, there's kind of an art to it, but also some kind of safety and rules things that you do, especially with multi-camera. So you tell me how about what the do's and don'ts are, I guess, and how you go about doing them.
I know there's lots of different people out there that open cards. Lots of people will have things that they swear by. But what I really like to do is I like to make sure I engage with the chats. Mm-hmm. I like to encourage people to ask questions if they have about the product or about our shop, about me. Of course, some things that are too personal, I'll either just kind of answer like an adjacent question to it, kind of touch on the topic, but not quite, or just ignore it. Sometimes people say inappropriate things. It turns out it is true, the old saying, like if you ignore it, it'll go away. Eventually they'll get bored and just go somewhere else, not sure. Or perhaps realize, oh, she's not answering this. Maybe I shouldn't be asking that question. But I like I said, to encourage people to ask questions. So I know sometimes people watching may get a little bit frustrated because with Marvel anime, people asking like what it's about, if you're getting a sketch per box, things like that. So people that are tuning in throughout the whole stream, would ask a lot of the same questions, but I try to never get frustrated because of course I don't know how long someone's been watching. I always want people to drop by and I don't want to scare anybody off. I know some people don't particularly trust live breaks. There's some places out there that, we had a camera issue and like a pack might disappear. I've actually heard of some channels actually got caught. There was a reflection, but they'd take out all the packs out of the box and then like open them all up, but see if there was a hit, there'd be someone off camera that would like switch it out with something that is like of a lesser tier. So I know some people are always nervous with breaks. So it sometimes gets awkward too. Like if I stumble in a video, if I'm like, I don't like this discussion topic, might get a little quiet. I can't cut it out. Just have to let it be out there because with the recordings, don't like any cuts. Sometimes I'll speed over things, or I've been having, well, not currently, but about this time last year, lots of allergies. And, if there's like a little cough or a sniffle, I just cut out the audio for a second, but always like having the continuous video. Things like that. So my thing I liked is interacting with people. That's what I swear by for running the streams.
Yeah, and you're really good at it. And I watch and I'm like, wow, okay, because it is kind of like improv in a way, because you're constantly kind of almost like you're unicycling.
Right, because if people aren't asking questions, there's been some streams that have been a little bit awkward. Maybe it's the time of day. If it's one of the midweek streams on a new product, typically the ones that are on a Wednesday, a lot of people at work, so maybe not too many viewers. Or if there's people watching, they're having it like a different window to check out the product, but don't want to get caught perhaps interacting with the stream while they're supposed to be working. So I always need to try and think of something to talk about. So sometimes I'll just start talking about, like if it's in a Marvel break, try to talk about like maybe my favorite movie or just things I hope to see in a future product. So it's a lot of trying to keep up and think of something to talk about. So like you said, the improv, just have to come up with stuff on the fly, topics and things like that.
Yeah. So the multi-camera thing I find fascinating because that's kind of you touched on it in especially with sports breaks. I'm a member of a UK NFL card group, and I remember reading conversations where people are talking about breakers who kind of because there are loads of Facebook groups about scammers in the sports card thing. I mean, you can throw a rock and you can hit one. Almost as many groups about that as there are YouTubers who are breaking sports products. And the one thing they often go on about is that whole thing about, okay, that having 2 camera angles to validate what's going on. It's that
Right.
security, I guess, isn't it? Because, people, in a lot of cases, it's not the shop product, it's people who've bought stuff that you're opening for them.
Right.
So you want to see what's going on. So that multi-camera thing I find fascinating, and how different companies approach it. So you usually have one on the playmat. You have a playmat, don't you, where you do the break? So you've got an above camera there.
Yes. Yeah, we have the top-down camera, and I know there's some people that like having it kind of facing like outwards towards a wall, and they'll just open cards kind of horizontally. Like just if you were to set your hands on the table and go through packs like that. I like holding them up just because I like being able to put out like piles of different inserts for people to see like how much to expect per box. It's a cool product. Whenever something new comes out, you want to see what the cards look like. So be able to see all the different varieties in the set, I like having that view. And then the reason I wanted to have the face cam is because I know I had mentioned that I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh, but there's a big channel on YouTube, Simply Unlucky, and I always love watching his facial reactions when you get great pulls. I love seeing people get excited, really amped up when they find something cool. Maybe not expensive, but just something they really like. So I wanted to be able to share that with people. Yeah. And also it helps. There's not too many girls out there that open cards. People might see like the thumbnail, or if they're scrolling past a live stream, be like, hey, there's a girl over there. Let me check that out. Just because people get curious about stuff like that. There's not too many of us out there.
Oh, wow. Okay. Because I honestly, I've not really, I think I became aware of you. I'm trying to remember where I became aware of you. I think you were opening a Marvel product. I can't remember which one it was. It wasn't anime. It was before that. Mm-hmm. And I think you came into the group on Facebook, and I kind of put 2 and 2 together that it was you. But bizarrely enough, apart from some of the breakers out in kind of Hong Kong way, who can get Upper Deck product because it's licensed over there, and they were the first people to be breaking Masterpieces when it dropped last September. Apart from that, I'm sure there are lots and lots of people out there who do breaks, but I simply don't have time to watch them all. So you kind of I came into my sphere of kind of awareness, not because you're of your gender, just because of the fact that you were breaking Marvel products, and I think someone posted one of your videos, and that was kind of how it happened.
Yeah, I remember actually the first time I had seen myself pop up in the group. It wasn't that I had even posted, hey, I'll be opening up Masterpieces. I saw someone saying, oh, Titan Cards is opening up in a few days, opening up Masterpieces, and I was like, hey, someone has actually seen me before. I thought that was cool. Because I actually lurked in the group, I feel like, for some time, just because I wanted to learn more about Marvel cards. The only Marvel cards I actually have purchased myself and really got into, I have a lot of the Thor Ragnarok Upper Deck cards, just because that was my favorite Marvel movie. Yeah. And my boss had been crazy over Marvel Masterpieces for years. We'd opened up the Fleer X-Men when that came out, I think in 2018. So like I'd seen comic cards, but I'm not too much of a comic person myself. Okay. I've read like a lot of Star Wars comics, but Marvel comics, I don't know. For some reason, I feel like I don't click with the art style as well. Yeah. So I hadn't been too familiar. So I just wanted to learn a bit more and see. I really love sketch cards. I collect sketches personally. So I love lurking and looking all the different art that artists post too. So just like hanging out, seeing what's going on.
Yeah, cool. Do you just do Marvel sketches or sketches just across different properties like Star Wars? Do you do Star Wars? Mainly
for my non-sports cards that I collect is Star Wars. Okay. And then the second most thing that I collect, I'd say, is hockey cards. They don't really do sketches for hockey. I feel like that'd be really cool. Tops will do for baseball. But so if anyone from Upper Deck is listening, I'd love hockey sketches in like Series 1 or Series 2. But then also, my mom actually has a couple Marvel sketches. She's a big Doctor Strange fan. So actually she has like this larger Marvel Premiere sketch. I don't remember if it's a 4-panel or like a 3-panel, but that one's pretty cool. And there's a lot of stuff that I always see that I like, but I don't own any Marvel sketches just quite yet somehow.
Okay, well,
I'm not a DC fan, but I somehow have a DC sketch from the CZX product. Yeah, it was actually commissioned. I had commissioned it because, off topic, not Marvel, but in the DC CZX, in the DC CZX product, I haven't seen like a lot of the new DC movies. But my favorites are the Nolan Batman movies. And my favorite character was Dr. Jonathan Crane, Scarecrow, portrayed by Cillian Murphy. Mm-hmm. And the entire base set, he has no cards in the base set. There's one fake film cell insert that he's on, and that's it. So I was like, I need some Scarecrow in my life. So I found actually a couple sketches I bought on eBay on auction, and then I had commissioned one from Carlos Caballero. So that was pretty cool.
Nice. No, I do love those movies. I'm not I'm not a DC. Obviously, I started a Marvel Cards group. There aren't actually that many DC sets out there. They don't.
Right.
You look at the list of Marvel ones, and you scroll and scroll and scroll. Whereas the DC ones would just be like half a page. So Marvel's always been my thing, comics wise as well. But with the movies, the DC movies, so the Batman ones, and then Man of Steel, I absolutely loved. Even the trailer made me well up because I'm such a softy. And then Batman v Superman, which a lot of people didn't dig. I loved it. Even the pre-Snyder Cut Justice League, I kind of was okay with, just simply because I enjoyed watching those characters, especially Ben Affleck playing Batman. So I'm very much looking forward to watching the Snyder Cut, but it sounds to me like you've probably not even seen the earlier ones in that kind of Snyderverse.
Yeah, I haven't gotten into any of the Snyderverse ones. There was actually, interestingly, lots of Marvel movies that I missed when I was in my later high school years and like early college years. Okay. And actually, I joke, like I'd have like online exams. I was taking way too many classes when I was a high school senior. I felt the need to occupy my time. And I was like, I guess I have extra time. I could take another class. So I remember, I still haven't seen it. And at this point, I choose not to watch it pretty much just to rile my mom up. But my parents left me at home to take an online final exam, and they went to go see Captain America: The Winter Soldier without me. Oh. And that's her favorite. My mom loves Bucky. That's her favorite character, the Winter Soldier. So now anytime it's on TV, she's like, you should come watch. Be like, nah, I've never seen that movie. And I walk out. I will get it at one point, but I'll just keep telling her I've never seen it.
It is astonishingly good. It's like a 70s thriller. It's just brilliant. Anyway, have you seen Falcon and Winter Soldier then?
I have actually seen the last episode. I hadn't had a chance to catch it, but my parents were watching it. I think they said for their third or fourth time, and it was before I got to work. I was feeling a bit lazy, so I sat down and watched it. Because unfortunately, spoilers are hard to avoid, but I feel like with all the Disney Plus shows, every time I'd wake up, open up Facebook, and there'd be like a spoiler, and it's like, come on. This episode just went up a few hours ago. Give people a chance, whether it be like some kind of comicbook.com article or like friends posting pictures, things like that. Yeah. So I'm one of those people. I hate spoilers so much that when I see a spoiler, it makes me not want to watch it. So I have like a vague idea of like the plots of the Winter Soldier, like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, WandaVision, and even The Mandalorian, just because I would have spoilers for every new episode. So I do want to sit down and watch all those at some point, but right now it's like watch something else that I perhaps haven't seen versus something I've already been spoiled. Yeah. It's like, I don't know.
Well, there's only so many hours in the day, and the amount of hours you're putting into the YouTube channel, you probably need some time away from the screen, just a little bit. That's just, if anything, just for your vision. So, what kind of length of I've seen, like we touched about on the anime one where you were going for maybe 6, 7 at least hours. What's kind of the average session you do, and what's the longest session that you've done where you've been doing like continual break?
The longest stream I had was, I think, close to 13 and a half hours. Did have to get broken up into a couple parts because YouTube stops archiving footage after 12 hours. So since they were personal breaks, didn't want anyone to lose any portion of their video. So I cut that one, I think maybe 11 hours, 45 minutes, started up a new stream, went for almost 2 hours. But that was very rough. I do not want to do that again. People like to joke, Allie, do a 24-hour stream for some kind of milestone. No way, not at all. But the Saturday night breaks do all kinds of mix of live breaks. People, if they want some baseball, usually sprinkle in some Star Wars when we have that in stock. People just kind of pick their own menu for the night. Those seem to go between 7 and 10 hours. I've been trying recently to try and get it closer to 7 and under, just so that way my whole Sunday isn't ruined. I'm not super exhausted, but that is usually the longest of the week. And then whenever we open up a new product, I tend to talk a lot, like to interact, like I said earlier, with the chat. Yeah. So stuff will take longer than it should. Like I think I'd opened up just a single case of Upper Deck Goodwin Champions last year that took like 4 hours. Which shouldn't take 4 hours.
Wow.
It can,
One
depending on the
case.
product, how exciting it is, how many people are showing up, interacting with chat. Because, of course, when there's a lot of people in chat, it takes longer because I like to try and talk to as many people as possible. But I like to try and have like a different experience than other places. I know sometimes people that are not familiar will stop by because they want to see a new product and then be like, you talk too much, hurry up. Be like, hey, if you want you want to just see people skip to the middle, grab the hit, grab the insert and throw it off sides of the camera. There's a lot of other places that'll do that, but I like to take my time here.
Yeah.
So, it's a double-sided sword. I know some people, even myself, I'm like, man, I wish I could get through this a bit faster, but I'm having too much fun looking at all these cards.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's not just, I guess, it's not just the break, is it? It's building that connection with the audience, and
right.
I guess to a certain degree that must help the business in terms of brand loyalty.
I would think so. Because I like to think, like I was saying, that we do something different here. I know I personally, if I were to order a box online and the person were to spend like 5 minutes and only look at the card in the middle of the pack and then just skip through it, I'd be a little bit miffed. Be like, what did I just pay for? It's like, yeah, I got some cards, but I don't get to really see them until they show up.
Yeah.
So I like to kind of say I offer an experience, but like if you're opening cards yourself, inspecting your own stuff, looking at like, oh, this is numbered, checking out, especially with Marvel Anime, since we've talked about that a lot. The base cards are kind of a little bit sparkly if you tilted them in the light. So I like showing off different features, and just me personally, if opening a new product for singles, make my own little pile of stuff I want to add to my collection, things like that. So.
Nice. So if I'm just a regular Joe surfing the internet and I come across the Titan Cards website, I'm guessing you've got a website for the store. How do I? Because for me, the concept of buying a box and then have someone else open it is a relatively new one for me.
Right.
But yeah, I know loads of people do it. Otherwise, you'd have your Saturday nights free. So how do you go about that? Do you literally buy it and then you can choose to have it opened as part of the checkout process, or how does one go about that?
I know we don't offer, and when the website initially was up, we did offer boxes to be able to ship aside from Upper Deck products, because you have to be an online diamond dealer, not just a regular online diamond dealer. So we don't have that status. I think there's only a couple shops in the United States that have that. So we could never ship Upper Deck products. But we used to offer boxes when we would have more stock. Right now, sometimes we'll get allocated. We'll order 10 cases of a product. Like actually, most recently we had ordered 20 cases of Panini Diamond Kings baseball, which came out to 480 boxes. We got allocated a total of 6. So when you only have 6 boxes from one entire distributor. Now we do have a couple. We've just taking any distributor that'll take us just to try and get a little bit more, just so we have more. So we don't offer boxes for shipment, because otherwise then we don't really have stock. People will just buy those boxes. Because, of course, even me personally, I'd prefer to open a box myself if I'm buying it. Yeah. But we do offer recorded breaks. So people, if they want it perhaps before the live stream and just sometime throughout the week. And I have recently added a page. It's not super functional yet, but approximately for when I think I'll be able to get to their box and send them the video. And then the live breaks where they just jump in the queue. And I used to 100% get through everything. That's how I ended up with that almost 14-hour stream one night. But now I do try to like put on notifications like, hey guys, maybe stop ordering for this week. I don't think I'll be able to get to it. Because also if you order a box, then you got to wait like 14 hours. It's kind of like, I'd rather just maybe not buy it. That seems like waiting that long for a box to get open is a little bit. Yeah. But it's a bit odd, the personal break idea. I mean, I, of course, enjoy opening up the boxes. Some people are a little bit weirded out. I get YouTube comments frequently like, why would anyone buy this? Why would you not want to open your own box? And sometimes it's just we do try to price boxes under market to give people an incentive to actually want to buy it. And sometimes, like maybe your local shop is out of stock or it's crazy eBay prices. So for a little bit cheaper and having a similar experience to opening up your own cards without physically doing it yourself. That's why people will let me open their boxes. And some people just like hearing me talk. I've had comments say people hate my voice, and I've had people say it helps them fall asleep. So different strokes for different folks, I guess.
Believe me. I mean, listen, we're almost 100 episodes in, and some people dig it and like it. Other people simply can't stand the English accent, as I've seen posted. So, hey, different strokes for different folks. I think if the way I see it is, if there's always someone who doesn't quite dig what you do or maybe throws rocks at you, then you must be doing something right. is the rather positive spin that I like to put on it. If you touched on stock issues, so obviously you only started doing the YouTube stuff, January 2020, and then of course a couple of months later everything kind of came crashing down for a lot of people, and then there's for want of a better word, the boom, really. Everyone's stuck at home, hobby boxes, sealed wax is going crazy, both new stuff and old stuff is people going into it. So how has that experience been through the prism of what you're doing? 'Cause it must be difficult because you wouldn't have had much time of quote unquote normal before the kind of pandemic hit and everyone was in various states of lockdown depending on where you were. How did that kind of ramp up for you guys in terms of how that affected what you were doing, how you did what you were doing, but also those stock issues that you've talked about, because that must surely be related to it with the demand being so high.
Right. So I feel like our allocation numbers maybe since like 2018, 2019 have kind of been getting a bit rough, not as horrendous as they've been this past year, but with basketball really taking off and people in 2018 really looking for Luka Doncic rookies and things like that, silver prisms from Panini Baseball getting crazy expensive. It seems like we started getting less and less allocation numbers, but it used to be maybe we'd order like 5 cases and maybe only get 3 instead of 5. Now order 5 cases, get like 0 or maybe 1 or 2 boxes of a product. But I think a lot of people being at home, even people that really love collecting cards, not being able to go to their local card shop, maybe looking online, joining into big breakers like Leighton and Platinums. I remember watching them open up like 100 boxes of National Treasures in a weekend for like National Treasures football, National Treasures basketball, which is crazy. And I think a lot of people turning to that, and also people maybe that really like sports, but sports tournaments not running, not having games for a good period of time before they figured out like the NBA bubble and the stuff going on with hockey and the break with baseball. People just that like sports looking for some kind of sports content, maybe stumbling across cards that way. And then it just started seeming like people buying out retail products. So a lot of people then having to go online for hobby boxes, whether that be eBay or like I was saying, breaks. Instead of chasing around, going to a bunch of different Walmarts and Target, may as well, I guess, throw like maybe $50 in an online break and see what you get there. People might be evaluating their options that way just to get some kind of card.
Yeah. I
think a lot of people looking for stuff like that, being at home. And also, I think actually it ended up being really good timing from when we started the channel. People having, I don't want to say necessarily extra time on their hands, because of course a lot of people would have, I think, preferred to continue working and keeping themselves busy, but having the chance to maybe just putz around YouTube and be like, oh, I like Magic. There's a box opening. Let me see what's up with that. And there's a lot of channel discovery in those first few months. So, I remember I actually have a little sticky note with all of our different milestones, because I just like keeping track, like hitting different numbers, like how long it took to get to X amount of subs. Let me see if I can find it. But it was actually surprisingly very quickly. So we started the first video I think I uploaded on the channel. It was like a little intro video. And I was testing out just the cameras and the recordings. And I used to use like this little flip video phone that I'd had since 2nd grade. So I wanted to test out, see how that went. Didn't go very well. The video was just my Star Wars collection, because that was something I was comfortable talking with. So that was like the test video for the channel. The video had died a few times because it was separate and I had to put in an editor and whatnot. The batteries ran out on that. So then we had this little webcam. But from January to May 2nd is how long it took to get to 1,000 subscribers on the channel.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think it's very quick. So that was crazy. So those first few months, there was a lot of discovery going on with people searching out and finding and somehow enjoying those old low quality videos.
Yeah. So where are you at now?
I think last night we crossed into 22,900s. So crazy growth.
Big numbers.
In just
that's good.
1 year, 4 months approximately.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, no, that is deeply impressive. And how many, I know you mentioned that you've done some midweek stuff and you do some Saturday stuff. Do you do it? And I'm guessing Sunday's a down day for you, fortunately. Yeah.
Whatever's left over on Sunday from whenever the stream ends, I just stay home, sleep.
Okay.
If there's like a lot of mail, I'll come in and get started on a little bit, but rest of my Sundays are usually just shot, just nothing going on.
Good. Well, you deserve it. You deserve it. You put in the hours. So, so do you find that you're online most days of the week, or is it only certain days, and the rest of it is doing all the looking after the cards, the shipping, the other admin bits, I guess, around it?
Right. So initially on the channel, I was just doing videos on Wednesdays and Fridays, and we didn't start doing breaks, I think, until either April or May. I think we started off with Series 2 Hockey 2019-20 and Lego PG Platinum. So those were some of the more popular. SPX too. So actually, yeah, around this time last year is when we first started doing the breaks. So then it was kind of like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, if there was a new product or someone had ordered something. At the start of this year, I added Tuesdays now. So I upload on that channel Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and then there's the stream on Saturday. So
okay.
Lots of days there. And then if we have a midweek stream, it's usually if we can get enough of a product in to open up for singles, like my boss and I used to do in the past.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go ahead and stream that live, just so people can check out the new product. And of course, if they see anything they want, they can contact us, as long as I don't claim first dibs on it. Like with the Black Diamond, when that comes out, I get first crack at all the Loki cards. I'm excited for that product. Was disappointed it got delayed again, which I was actually very surprised, because the checklist has been out. Artists have been able to post. Yeah, I wonder if maybe it was a production issue, because I'm not sure what's up with it. Yeah.
I think so. I think I don't think from the conversation we had before we started that you'll have heard it, but we had an interview with Mike Phillips, who's I can't remember his job title now, but he's pretty high up at Upper Deck. Right. And I wanted him on because we'd seen him on a hockey podcast that's out of Edmonton in Canada a few weeks back. I can't remember the name of it, Sports Card Talk or something like that. Anyway, there's so many of them, it's ridiculous to keep up. And he was on for over 2 hours, and he was getting some pretty tough questions from the sports card collectors about distribution of product, about delays to product, about redemptions, because that's quite a hot thing for the sports card guys. Right. And I thought, you know what, he'd be a really interesting guy to talk to from a Marvel point of view, because he'd worked at Fleer back in the 90s. Okay. So on the tail end of the 90s boom, and then moved to Upper Deck. He'd been at Upper Deck for over 20 years. And also because I thought, a lot of the Marvel card collectors don't necessarily cross the streams and dip into and listen to necessarily what's going on in the sports hobby. And I think that because there's so much sports hobby content out there, I thought it would be quite good for Mike to come on and talk to some of the issues that he'd spoken to on thing. Right. Anyway, and one of the big things he was saying was it's the logistics of getting a set out at the moment it's not just one thing. There's a number of things, so everything's affected to it. So if you simply talk about the production facilities, there's only a few left in the US anyway that can do them to the standard, with all the substrates and the foiling and you think about Black Diamond, you've got those artificial diamonds in the cards, right. You've got material in the card, you think about all the things that you've got to go into it. There's only a few facilities in the US that can still do that, because print media has dropped over the years, so there's fewer printers. Right. So I think he was saying that it's not just about the fact that they're slow, but a lot of them are backed up because there's more product being pushed through. So from all the car companies that use a few facilities go through there, then you've got the fact that they can only have so many people in the facility right. at any one time. And in terms of QA, it's more difficult to actually check the stuff because the Upper Deck staff might not be able to actually go to the facility and QA stuff as it's being produced. So there's a number of issues, but then it feeds into the supply chain. The distributors and actually packing them and getting them to aim. Obviously, ComC has had a whole world of problems at the moment. You know what? I'd settle for them being able to ship when they say they're going to, but that's a whole different conversation. So so it has affected so much. I really do. But anyway, Black Diamond, I think, will be. Obviously, it's a super premium set on the Marvel side of things, so you're going to be quite lucky. You're going to get to open more than most people, unless they've got extremely deep pockets.
Yeah, I know some people are going to be not happy that we're opening everything that we're getting, but when we initially placed our pre-order for it, my boss and I were like, oh, we can open up 4 cases. That'd be fun. So we'd ordered 10 cases thinking, we'd have a couple cases for people to do breaks. Maybe someone locally was interested in grabbing a case, and then we'd open the rest because we love opening up Marvel products. We've been doing it for years. And then we got cut to 4 cases and we're like, well, this is our entire allocation. Now, we used to get everything we'd order on Marvel products, but starting with, I think, pre-orders for Marvel Masterpieces, we started getting cut a lot. I remember we put in, I think, for 15 cases, and we got a little over 2 on Marvel Masterpieces. The only product in recent times we actually got all that we ordered was Marvel Ages, but even that, I want to put a little asterisk there because we had ordered 50 boxes, and we got 50. But 10 of them never showed up to Southern Hobby, so 10 are on back order. So those 10 are still technically on our account if they ever find more boxes to send to us. But I think we'll just get a credit for that on our account at some point. But started getting, I think more people have been getting into non-sports as well. We've actually, especially with Star Wars, because tend to get more volume on Star Wars as well, which those numbers have been getting pretty bad, especially with hot products like the upcoming Mandalorian Season 2. We ordered 36 cases, got cut to 12. And it's actually the first time it's ever happened, but they cut us again like about a week and a half ago.
Oh, wow.
2 more cases. We got cut from 36 to 12 to 10. So that's going to be, and we had opened 7 cases of Season 1 when that came out. Wow. My boss wanted to make a master set, and it was just really fun to open, really good rip. And it used to be affordable. It was supposed to be a cheap product, but pre-sales on stuff are nuts. Same thing with Black Diamond. Like if I had to guess what retail would be on that product based on store cost for us, I think probably like the $220 range. But I've seen initial pre-orders at $350. I think some places have raised their price to $380. So looking at that too, the fact that we enjoy opening up Marvel, I don't want to sell a box with 6 cards in it for almost $400. It just feels bad because at least with Marvel Black Diamond, like if you look, it's supposed to be a hit per box, whether that be an autograph, a sketch, or one of those gem cards. But it's still, if someone's not happy, I don't feel good about opening up a box that's not great. Like, of course, that's the chance people take. But even though I can't do anything about it, I don't have magic powers to make every box crazy, I do feel bad if there's like a stinker. So I'm personally relieved that we're opening all of it, just because I don't like the prices on stuff right now. I feel like it's too much. And I know a lot of people have the same sentiment. I remember on the post where I think it was, I don't know if it was Blood or Steel City, but when people were seeing that, it seemed like the product was delayed till the end of May and the price changed. People are like, that's crazy for 6 cards. Why would anyone buy it? But there's a lot of people that do. There's some people that money is no issue. They just like the cards. They want to rip boxes. Yeah. But it's just, that's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, some of the NFL sets, though, there's a couple that are really up there in terms of the price. I can't remember what they are. Is it Flawless?
Yeah, Flawless, National Treasures.
That's it. Yeah. The one. I mean, I haven't got the financial resources to go as deep as I'd like to on NFL cards or even Marvel cards. So the fact that I do some Marvel cards, well, most Marvel cards, I do a little bit of Star Wars and I dabble a little bit in NFL, but I have to be very, very careful because that's a rabbit hole and a half because of the volume of product. But Contenders tends to be my go-to set on that. But this year I haven't been able to afford even just a box from Target, because that's interesting. I'd seen online because my last trip to the States was about 15 months ago, just before it was Christmas 2019, and I was able to go into a Target and I was able to buy a box of Contenders, the retail version that they have in Target stores. Fast forward to now, I'm seeing online that people are saying that Target are only putting stuff out like on Fridays, and people have to queue, and it's like there are videos and photos of empty shelves everywhere. I mean, is that that's crazy. And then a lot of the people who do manage to get those go and put them on eBay for like 2-3 times the amount.
More than that, even sometimes. Like Prism mega boxes maybe retail maybe like $50. People sell them for upwards of like $300 a box. Wow. So it's a very lucrative if people want to get up that early and grab it. Because actually, that's the problem too. Is like if we could get more product, we'd like to offer. Of course, we can't undercut everybody because that's just rude to an extent, but we like to be under market. And the more we could get us something, the cheaper we'd like to offer it. But it gets to the point where as much as we'd like to have it for like original, whatever MSRP would be, in the area that we live in, there's a lot of like the Target, Walmart, like my boss and I like to call them vultures. Like there were people that would know the stock people's schedule, follow them around to every store and buy them out. And then Target, I don't know if Walmart's done anything. I don't particularly shop at Walmart, but Target started doing the only 3 per person. But of course, you bring your friend, you bring your family, everyone. I remember a friend of mine saying they lined up at Target the other week and there was a person there with like 3 kids lined up at 8 a.m. And then with the credit card, just, 3 per every family member.
Yeah. They pull up a bus or something.
So then they started doing Friday. They're only stocking Friday at 8 a.m. And you have to line up. And then we actually had someone come in saying they had considered lining up. There's a Target not too far from the shop. That's pretty large. And there were people lined up since 4 p.m. Thursday night for Prism basketball.
Wow.
So I think Target now is changing it to 1 per UPC. So like 1 mega box, Mullen hanger pack, 1 single pack, so to try and cut down. And I think some people have said it started getting a bit better, but then you can bring more people. It's pretty crazy for retail.
Yeah, just a touch. I mean, it's just there's 2 sides to that, I guess. It's the people who genuinely just want to buy a box for themselves to open it and enjoy, and then there's the people that go in there and like you say, bring multiple family members because they want to get multiple products because they're probably not going to be opening them themselves, and they're probably going to be selling them on. I do feel a little bit for the people who just want to buy. For me, because I'm the hits are nice, but I'm a big I'm a set builder.
Right.
So for me, there's as much value in the base cards as there are, putting together the chase sets and what have you. It's not just all about the one-of-ones, whereas other people, they're only in it for the hits.
Right.
One thing I do find interesting, I'd be interested to hear your kind of take on it because you have an awful lot of interaction with people, is the perception, more so now, and especially in the last year, I think, and the expectation from people that the financial, I'm always careful. I like to separate value and worth. So value could be different from everyone. It's very subjective. Right. Whereas worth is, how much it's worth as in, market value. So is that people expect that the worth of the cards will be more than the how much they paid for the box. Have you kind of experienced that yourself with you saying, people sometimes be disappointed with the breaks and.
Yeah. I mean, there's been some people that, if they don't get something crazy in the box, they'll be like, I wasn't happy. I want a refund. It has had a couple times where just being a giant pain, my boss just gives them a refund because in the long scheme of thing, it's just to, refund it, block them and not deal with it again. Some people, if they want to throw a fit, it's happened. But most people, I think, are pretty understanding that it is a big, at this point, just like a gamble. You're really hunting for those high end things. And there's a lot of breakers that also don't ship all the base cards because there's people that are, like you said, just ripping for the hits, ripping to resell. Yeah. But we do ship everything. So I think we actually get a lot of people here at Titan that are actual collectors. They want the base.
Yeah.
On a couple occasions, if people have ordered multiple boxes, they just want like a little bit. And then the rest of it, we have a little pile in the shop that if people don't want stuff, we put in the free for kids box for people to
that's nice.
When they come in to look through and grab some stuff. But most of the time people do take their base cards. So
good.
There are a lot of people that like to build sets. On the flip side of things, for people that like to actually just collect maybe their favorite team, if you're not chasing like in football, like you're saying, like the top quarterback or like some really high draft picks for this upcoming year, the rest of the stuff tends to be super cheap because people just get rid of it to try and make any of their money back, especially if the box is kind of a sneaker, like right away, just get as much as I can back, like 99-cent auctions and everything. And there's so many cards listed on eBay at once. It is easy to just pick things off cheap because there's, I think, almost more options than people wanting it for certain players. Like I said, if they're not like the top 5 things people are hunting for.
I mean, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, last season, what was it? Burrows cards last season, Joe Burrows, who actually went out mid-season with a broken leg, I think. And obviously Mahomes is still crazy. Season before was Bosa for the San Francisco 49ers. His stuff was going a bit bonkers. I mean, Patriots is the one I've been going after, and of course doesn't hurt me that Brady buggered off to your local team, I guess.
Yeah, local Super Bowl champions, Tampa Bay Bucks.
Well, there we go. I mean, you got to admire what he did. I mean, he went in there and he said, "You kind of let me do." I mean, effectively, he took a lot of the control and the decisions that a head coach would make. He basically said, "You let me build this team and do it the way I want to do it, and I'll get him." Hats off to him. He only went and bloody did it.
He did. First Super Bowl at home win in history.
Yeah.
This is crazy. I'm not like the world's largest football. Like, I'll watch the Super Bowl. When I was in college, I watched my team play, just have it on the background, just, for my support. But I don't like watch week to week. But it was a really cool experience to have that happen here in Tampa Bay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then over the past year, that's like, even if it's not a hit, I remember like the first Tom Brady base card that was in a Buccaneers uniform. When it came out, release day was like $60 for a base card. And it wasn't even a crazy set. It wasn't even something
was it
like
Don Russ or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was Don Russ Elite, something like that. I think regular Don Russ was still in the Patriots uniform, but I remember seeing Don Russ Elite, Tom Brady base. Either that or Luminance. One of those two.
One of them had loads of really shiny parallels. It was a Mosaic, I'm thinking of. I can't remember anyway.
Mosaic was shiny, but Luminance is also very bright, very foily, and not chrome.
I got very confused this year. There were some new sets and configurations, and I only dabble in it.
I also felt like stuff came out of order from typical release years too. So that's why I'm not 100% certain which one came first. But I remember every time a new Tom Brady base card would come out, release day would be expensive, and then as people are like, "Oh yeah, it's a base card," it would cool off. But crazy. Everything release weekend's always crazy.
Yeah. And it's, again, it's like that with, Anime has just sold out on ePack in the last few days. So its kind of cycle, if you like, is complete. I mean, I think there's probably a limited amount of physical still available somewhere in the market, but not much at all. Yeah. And I think I ended up doing 3 or 4 boxes of it in the end. And I just completely fell in love with it. And, part of that is kudos to your video, because I was like, wow, this is fun, because I didn't have any expectations of that set at all. I didn't think I'd dig it, because I'm not particularly a big anime fan. And then lo and behold, I'm still putting together the Hyper Mosaic and Mega Moon parallel sets.
Oh yeah. That stream in particular has like a really special place in my heart, because actually I didn't know until afterwards, but Peach Momoko also watched that stream, because apparently in Japan there's not too many places that carry Upper Deck products. So like she wasn't able to find anything like to watch for people opening it there, and she actually watched it. And I had actually messaged her because someone had left during, I think, that weekend's live stream where we were doing breaks, that she had original arts for sale. So I was like, oh, let me mosey on in over there, see what's up. And she had mentioned that she really liked seeing me excited about the set and had a good time watching. So that was really cool. And my boss had actually chatted with her a bit. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but my boss has plans for once everything gets back to being more safe to have like a little Titan convention. And apparently in their chats, she had said, as long as we, of course, pay for it, she'd come check out the shop and stuff like that. So that'd be super awesome.
That would be absolutely cool.
But I was like, wow, anytime anybody, like whether it's like a big YouTuber stops by or someone like that, like Peach says that, like, I saw that was cool. It really, I don't know, really makes it all worth it for like, because, of course there's negative comments and stuff. And sometimes I tend to dwell on that. But just any kind of like, wow, this person that I look up to saw my stuff and was like, hey, that's cool. It's like, would never have expected anything like that.
That is nice.
Especially when the channel was, like I said, just started as kind of like, I don't know how people live in Pinellas County. Because we've had people drive by and say they've never seen our shop. And it's like, we've been here. Like, we actually had someone that now buys a lot of Magic boxes say they live 3 minutes away from the shop but never knew we existed. So for that, we're like, all right, let's just little bit of advertisement goes a long way. We'll see how that goes. So then to transition into big channels like Rudy from Alpha Investments for Magic the Gathering and just other places drop by saying, wow, I could see how much hard work you put in. This is really cool. Means a lot. Would have never expected anything like that to happen.
That's awesome. That is really awesome. That must be so gratifying to hear that from people who are, just digging it and also do their own stuff on YouTube. I mean, listen, you're lucky. We don't have anything like that over here at all. We don't have card shops. I think there's a chain of stores called Games Workshop over here, but that's more the modeling figures and things. I think they do some kind of card stuff more on the kind of the Warcraft end of thing. And I think there are, I know there are a couple of places like comic shops that tend to do Magic on the side. I mean, I've never played Magic. I wouldn't know how to. But I know it's a huge deal, so much so that they have like a big thing in Vegas.
Yeah, the large tournament usually is the one in Vegas. It used to be called the Grand Prix, and then they renamed it to Magic Fest, and then I think they changed it.
Yeah.
Wizards, the company that has Magic, has been restructuring their tournaments the past 2 years, so I'm not too sure on the names. But it used to be the big Grand Prix was Grand Prix Vegas.
But the fact that can support having an event of that kind is, I mean, I can't imagine, Marvel cards having anything like that. To that scale. I mean, partly because it's not a playable thing. So tell me about your cosplay, because I know that you've done some quite a few streams actually in cosplay, and you also we'll talk about your Instagram in a moment as well. Is that something that you did before you started doing the streams? Was it something that you did as a hobby and maybe did at shows and cons, or is that a relatively recent thing? How did you get into that?
A little bit. When I was young, real young, when I was small child, I always loved playing dress up year round. After Halloween, my mom would always buy me a bunch of clearance costumes and I'd have them in a box and just randomly dress up. And then kind of got away for it from some time, but I also grew very quickly. So I think I just stopped getting costumes. I've been the same height actually since I was in 5th grade. So I kind of grew real fast and then stopped. But in middle school and high school, I had some friends and wouldn't really put money into cosplay, but if there was an anime character's outfit that maybe I ran across a similar t-shirt, actually I had a little red shirt and I found a straw hat at Walmart. So for one convention we went, I was the main character from the show One Piece, just because it just looked similar enough. Budget maybe $15 costume to put on a red shirt and a straw hat that had the red band. So I wasn't serious about cosplay, but I do it for fun if I could see something I put together. And then the first real effort I put into a costume, but still finding pieces of clothes that I thought would fit, was Tifa from Final Fantasy VII.
Okay.
So that was actually the first cosplay I did on the channel, because I had that. I'd worn it to a convention in Tampa, I think early 2019. So it was pretty fresh, pretty, I think well put together for just being regular clothes. I like to try and do, initially, now I'm getting into some crazier stuff, but I like to initially grab stuff that I could get it for the outfit, but also it's not really a quote unquote waste of money because I could still wear it like normal clothes. I like to try and make the most out of it. So I had that. And I actually, when the Final Fantasy VII remake came out for the PS4 last year on release day, I dressed up and I unboxed. We had some old Final Fantasy trading card boxes. I just did those just as maybe people will be looking, because today's the big day. People have been waiting for that for years. Maybe stumble across the channel that way and see Tifa opening Final Fantasy cards. So that's how we kind of got into the cosplay openings, because people like that. The channel was very small at that point, but a lot of people were like, wow, this is really cool. They'd like to see me do other stuff. So then got to planned out the big Liliana of the Veil for Halloween last year. That was a big hit. But I just started enjoying just dressing up and doing themed unboxings.
Yeah.
So I know you'd mentioned the Black Cat really caught your attention. I had just been there was a Halloween store that was going out of business close to the shop. And I just went and I looked and I bought a bunch of different stuff. And the Black Cat happened to be one of them. But it was kind of whatever I stumbled across would be what I'd grab for cosplay. Now it's just I try to plan out a little bit, but still it's just if I encounter actually a great brand, actually run by Ashley Eckstein, designed it, the voice actress for Ahsoka from Star Wars Clone Wars, has a clothing brand called Her Universe and tends to make a lot of nerd themed clothing, like actually like a Padme like themed dresses that match close to what it was in the movies, but also like wearable, functional for everyday use. So I have a lot of different outfit pieces from that, like my Hoth Leia little vest. Functions as a real vest for cold weather, but of course has the design from Empire. Yeah. So a lot of stuff if I see something that catches my attention, I'll be like, oh, I can do that. Yeah. Now I'm planning a little bit.
Cool.
Not a lot, but I'll be like, I should do a Rogue cosplay at some point and think about it, and then be like, I don't know, at some point maybe, but haven't made the move on that. That's been floating around in my head for a future Marvel opening, but it'd have to be a comic product. So
yeah, well, there's Marvel X-Men Metal Universe.
Yeah, that was supposed to come out in January. Card, that just disappeared.
Yeah, let's not dwell too much on. I've got no idea on that one, because actually we did a preview episode in January with Travis from Upper Deck, and he was talking about all the sets that were coming out this year, and it wasn't a deliberate thing, but people are now starting to get a bit like conspiracy theory about it. He completely forgot to mention X-Men Metal Universe. We talked about all sorts of other sets, and he dropped some kind of surprise kind of scoop reveals on us as well. But anyway, but yeah, X-Men Metal Universe would be the most appropriate one, because of course all the images they've put out so far of it have got Rogue PMG first and foremost, along with Wolverine and Cyclops, I think. So that would be a good one to do. Can you see yourself when things start opening up again and shows start? I think shows actually are starting to happen. I know one of the guys in our group does Beckett grading. He's like a facilitator for that, and he was saying that he's started going to shows again. So do you think that is the kind of thing that you would do, would be to kind of start doing more cosplay at shows?
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. I mean, for me, I have a love-hate relationship, I feel like, with conventions, because I love going and especially anime conventions, because I collect a lot of figures. I love going to like the vendor room.
Yeah.
But also I don't like really go to panels or anything like that. I don't go to the actual, I feel, convention parts of a convention. Okay. So like, I hate paying for ticket just to go spend money, because that's what I'm there for. I'm just there to shop. I just want to get into the vendor room. I don't really want anything else. But I remember actually when I dressed up as Tifa and I went to that convention early 2019. It was cool. It was a cool feeling. I had never had anybody stop me to take pictures before. So there was actually a lot of people that wanted to take pictures with Tifa. So that was fun. I know we had touched on like the Magic events. My boss wants to send me, because they do a lot. There's the big one in Vegas, but they'll do all kinds of tournaments across the United States and even in other countries as well. But there's usually a couple in Florida. So my boss wants to send me, because there's a lot of vendors there that buy cards and sell cards. Usually it's good value at events like that to buy stuff, because people just be looking for easy money real quick. Wants to send me in the Liliana cosplay to go buy stuff for the shop, have a little table. So there's work related plans, but I don't know when I'll feel comfortable going to a convention. I know there's a big MegaCon Orlando, I think, is currently scheduled for late August this year. And I know there's other like stuff coming up in the summer for trading cards in Florida, in like the Tampa area, but not sure when I'll jump back on into it. But I'm kind of itching to go. It's been a while. I'm not a person that likes crowds, but I feel like your dose of crowds, like about once a year. Be like, all right, I did a thing. That's enough interaction for the year. Let me go back into my hole.
Yeah. Well, I think everyone being in their holes for such a long period of time, I think everyone's kind of itching to get back to it. I mean, we don't, nothing like that is able to happen in the UK anymore. And we don't kind of tend to have those shows. I'm consistently envious of you guys having such even in restricted times like now, the ability to still go to shows like Norrin. We should mention Norrin, because he would normally be here. For those tuning in late, Norrin is sick.
Norrin's hanging out with X-Men Metal Universe.
He probably is. He's been to 2 already. In the last 3 weeks in North Carolina. So and he's done some content for his Instagram on them as well. It's interesting. One of the things I did want to talk about, and I know we talked about this beforehand, and obviously, only kind of touch on what you're comfortable with it. But, I look at your Instagram and it's absolutely fantastic. And I love that you pose with the little cards on your shoulders. So this is me doing an impression of you doing your poses. But I think it's really, they are really cool. And I love your eyebrow when you're going like this.
Oh, yeah. When I'm side-eyeing the one. Whatever box it was.
What is that box? Let's have a look. Let's zoom in on that. It is Formula One Chrome.
Oh, yeah. That was an interesting product. Very expensive. No guaranteed hits per box, but they were almost about $600, which is nuts. Found a lot of cool stuff on the channel, but I was very nervous before we opened it up.
Yeah.
Actually, this past weekend we had 3, but the weekend before we had 8 boxes in a row. And I was like, whoa, I'm scared. I don't want to open these boxes and they're all trash. But out of 8 boxes we found 4 autographs, 2 printing plates. Like, it was some pretty crazy pulls. So it ended up being, everyone was excited. It was a great time, but I was very suspicious of Formula One Chrome. I didn't know what to expect.
I can see it on your face there. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, I'm like, what is this? I didn't know
Formula One cards are a thing. This is all news to me.
I think the first they did Dynasty Formula One, and so that's just 1 card per box on Dynasty. And we had ordered a couple cases. We're like, Formula One's pretty popular. They've never had a product before. Let's try it. We'd ordered 2 cases, got allocated the 0, and then the boxes end up being like almost I think $2,000 a box. Like, it's nuts. Yeah. So then we were surprised we got everything we ordered on Formula One. My boss was joking that since the boxes are so expensive, we're never going to get allocated anymore ever again. Same thing with Golf coming out. People were asking last night because finally Artifacts Golf, I think, is scheduled for next week. I think was supposed to be like either late March or early April, and then got pushed to next week. Assuming it does come out. Upper Deck has been moving stuff, which, like you said, there's a lot of the production issues, but stuff jumps around on the calendar with not too much heads up. But apparently Artifacts Golf boxes are pre-selling for $1,000 a box for Artifacts.
This is the new Upper Deck Golf. Yeah,
new Upper Deck Golf. And it's like, that's scary. If you don't pull Tiger Woods, what's the rest of your cards? Like, what are you getting out of that?
Exactly. Yeah,
it's nerve-wracking opening up crazy stuff. Like, I had opened up it at that point it had been the most expensive, but 2019-20 National Treasures basketball, someone had actually bought we ended up getting in 2 boxes. Someone actually let me open one on up for them for $4,200 a box. And I was scared. I was like, I know this person made the choice that they want to open the box. I can't control it, but still, if that box has like $5 of value in it, I'm gonna feel horrible.
But my mouth is open on the 4,000. Hang on, let's get this straight. So, and this is people having a little moan about Black Diamond here. Let's throw that number out again. How much is a box of National Treasures? Was it?
Yeah, last year's NT basketball was $4,200.
And what do you get in that box?
I think 8 cards.
Okay, so you get more cards for it, so it must be better.
Yeah. Okay. This year's football National Treasures is about 4,000. I think people are expecting this year's basketball to be crazy because last year you had Zion, you had John Morant. This year people are crazy about LaMelo Ball and Wiseman and whatnot. So I don't know. I don't know what people are taking pre-orders, but it's nuts. It's nuts. At that point, it gets to the point where it's like, are you card collecting or are you just trying to hit big instead of going to a casino? Like, products like that worry me. These products also used to supposed to be like $500 a box. Like, that was like the high end product. Like 500 to 800.
Yeah.
And just to see what they go up to. Just nuts.
They have gone up.
You hit the card, you're set. It's crazy.
Speaking of, so I'm jumping around here. I'm going to go back to the card. So because we talked about Liliana, and obviously when you do your cosplay, you put pictures of yourself in the costume on your Instagram, and obviously then people can, I assume if they watch the video, they can see you kind of in that costume. How this is a kind of a fine line here, so I'm going to be very careful how I ask this, and please tell me if I'm off the mark or being too polite about it. How do you feel when you read some, not all, some of the comments that people put on posts where you might be wearing something that will just be a little bit glam or a little bit more revealing or whatever it may be, simply because that's what the costume is.
Right. Sometimes I just laugh. Like sometimes I'll look at like whatever I get in like the DMs. And like sometimes I'll just laugh.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes they're like, sometimes they're just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But most of the time I'm just like, I mean, this is the picture I put up. Obviously I want people to click on the video. That's why the Instagram exists, to try and get people maybe just look in for, if they want to see cosplay and be like, hey, I'm opening cards. They might not have ever seen card openings before. Be like, oh, Black Cat's opening some Marvel product. Let me go look at it. I like Marvel. I like Black Cat. I'll try and tune in for that. Yeah. It's another one of those, like the channel was started just as like for advertising for the shop. Now I'm like, there's going to be a different audience out there because people do live breaks on Instagram too. So I've never participated in one. I've never seen it, but I know people will do group breaks on Instagram Live. So maybe people looking for stuff like that might stumble across my posts.
Yeah.
If we were talking about the Formula One, maybe looking on Instagram for Formula One cards, be like, oh, there's a YouTube channel that opens Formula One. Let me go check that out. So I do try to take pictures that they all look good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the point of Instagram. You want to put your best face forward.
They do.
So,
I mean,
I do. Some of those, there's one Liliana cosplay picture recently that I was like, I had to come in on a Thursday night, which I don't. Thursday's my day off. And like the costume takes a lot of effort to put on.
Yeah, of course.
It takes a while. Like I got to lace up the boots. The back is not easy to put on, and it's very heavy. It's very warm. So I'm like, people better show up for this live stream. So there's a little bit of a suspicious looking picture there on Instagram, but I was like, I just want people to show up.
Yeah,
people will click on this picture,
and it's good. It's people do. I mean, to be fair, I mean, there's one particular photo that I'm looking at has got hundreds of comments on, and most of them are kind of like little emojis, like heart emojis and things like that. Wow, and very beautiful, and all this nice stuff. Then some of them just tend to, in my view, probably overstep the mark a little bit.
All the people asking for like OnlyFans and stuff.
Yeah, so you get the
I get that even when I wear a T-shirt.
Yeah,
some people just comment on anything.
Yeah.
So, at this point, I don't like kind of attribute it to like what I'm wearing. It's just people pop up in the YouTube comments in my DMs anywhere. It's funny. My boss on the store account will get weird DMs sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, because they think it's me. So, it doesn't really matter. People say stuff regardless, but I can tell, and I can even tell by thumbnails, like if it's if I'm wearing a certain, because I like to wear. I don't know. I just wear what I like. Sometimes it's just I feel like wearing a T-shirt. Sometimes I want to feel fancy. Sometimes it's like recently I have a shirt in multiple colors with like a little window on the front. I just like the design. I like it.
Yeah.
But I can tell there's certain videos that have certain style of shirts that get more views than others, regardless of the product.
Yeah. And
I just kind of live with it.
It is
because I want people to watch because they like me. But I mean, there's people that have shown up just because they're like, oh, pretty girl in the thumbnail, must click, and then they're like, wow, I actually like this content. So.
Yeah.
As long as people are enjoying the video, at this point, I'm not going to police what people like. They just like the pictures where I'm in like full makeup, more power to them. As long as people are having a good time, that's all I really care about.
I love it's all these comments, and I'm not gonna read out some of the more suspect ones, but one of them just nailed it. Lol. All the hobby nerds drooling. I was like, yeah, that guy's nailed it completely, which is wonderful. What I find interesting, because I noticed that you've got a Patreon now.
Yeah.
Your own Patreon. So that's kind of it must be quite interesting to see kind of Brand Alley take off a little bit on here.
It is. It's very weird.
Yeah.
Initially. Oh, sorry. You go ahead.
No. You'd started to answer. I guess my my interest there is how much that's come from this, and obviously the Patreon, I'm guessing, is your thing separate to Titan Card. So how do you go about even starting one of those, and what kind of things do you kind of offer, I guess? Yeah,
for the Patreon, I know I've seen a lot of creators with Patreon. Like actually I watched this one. I like lizards and snakes. I don't know if you notice on the Skype, that's actually my pet lizard that I have as my logo. But they have a Patreon where they just say kind of similar to now on the Titan Cards channel. At the end of the video, they show all the names of the supporters just to give extra support. And people had asked me, like, Allie, do you have Patreon? Do you have this? That, and I'm like, well, it feels a bit weird to ask people to be like, hey, give me extra support. But I mean, if that's what they're requesting, they want to support, they appreciate the content, they'll go ahead and do it. So that's tied with my personal channel, pretty small, Allie's Treasure Trove. But if I get new cards in the mail, I'll go ahead, open the package, have fun little mail videos, or do unboxings of like Funko Pops or new statues that I get in. Sure. Recently, I've started playing some games. I actually got these new headphones. So that way, wow. my other headphones the cord was too short. Yeah. So I got these for that. It also has like a little mic. I haven't tried that out. I was messing with it this morning, but didn't get that all set up. But just over there. So that's attached, kind of like the channel memberships on Titan Cards. A lot of it is just reading off the names at the end of the screen. And then for some of the higher tiers, simply like, well, if people want to give extra, I really appreciate it. So for one of the tiers, I write a thank you note. And then another one, the highest one I have, it's a little personalized thank you card, just like the other tier. And I also have a signed photo. So sometimes like for April, so the March to April. Yeah. I did have in the Liliana, I had a picture I didn't post on Instagram. I saved it for that, signed that, and sent that off to the top tier people because people were excited about Liliana. I figured that's what they like. But sometimes it's just picture. I try to do themed. Like for New Year's, the January one, I did New Year's theme. For the February one, I posed with some flowers for Valentine's Day. That was the picture. And I make sure to specify, like on the Patreon, it is safe for work pictures. Nothing creepy going on here. Yeah. I don't want anybody showing up expecting something that I'm not willing or comfortable giving. Just want people to be like, all right. And I do try to post. I don't feel like I post enough on the Patreon, but I like to ask for feedback, what people like to see on my personal channel. I sometimes put up polls like, I got these 3 new things in. What would you guys like to see me open up first? So just try to have some engagement. But it's just over there. It's nothing super huge. Just people had asked for it. So figure a way to give back, special interaction with people. Because you can also message over there too. Yeah. Talk with people a little bit more and whatnot.
I find it fascinating, just the whole Patreon thing. I mean, so a couple of people have suggested that Norrin and I start one. We barely got time to do just the weekly audio podcast, let alone extra content, because I guess a lot of it is about producing extra. It is that extra content and exclusive stuff as well that people, can't get. So, the example of saving a photo, you've instantly given me an idea of whether you do it or not. But it sounds to me like you're on your way to building up enough images for an Allie from Titan calendar 2022.
People have asked. And actually, one of my friends, his YouTube name is Andon, is also like our volunteer moderator. He's friends with me, friends with Boss Man. Okay. I had been talking around. He's like, you should do a calendar. I was like, I don't have enough cosplay to do a calendar. And then, of course, in the stream, he's like, who wants a calendar? And I'm like, now I have to do a calendar. I don't know. Okay. It's still weird to me that that's something people want. Like, it's just I never thought that I would be, I guess people think I'm popular enough to make something like that. I always, whenever I talk with like my friends or like even my boss or my parents, it's like I never expected myself to be in the position that I am. I'm not someone that I hate when people even like look at me in public. I'm very insecure. I feel like if someone's looking at me, it's like, oh, is there something on my shirt? Like, does my hair look weird or something? So I find it weird that I somehow rope myself into having a YouTube channel where I put out content between the two channels, like 5-6 days a week, where people will, have the opportunity to judge everything I say, my voice, the way I look and stuff like that. Is more so because I had mentioned earlier, like my boss had talked with some of his friends that like they had ideas to do this. He tried it with somebody one time. It didn't work. And then this other person had kind of been leading him on, although that person's busy, but lead him on to do it. And I just got tired of it. I'm like, look, I work here. I'm already here in-house. And I was also like, I want to get replaced. So it's like, I'll just do it. Let me try it out. And then it actually had worked out. So it was more of I'm determined to work hard and somehow got myself into like, oh, now my face is on the internet for everyone to see forever. Yeah. So it's just, it's cool, but it's also weird. Not bad weird, but weird interesting. It exists in my life, the possibility to make like a cosplay calendar. Yeah. Just I feel mind-boggling.
It is. It must be quite, because whether you like it or not, you are. I'm not sure if this is the right expression. A public figure, as in your people dig you and you put content out there, and you put a lot of content out there, and actually it's I guess it's volume of content isn't a problem, because although you put the work into it, the cards, I guess, drive that content, so the number of people doing the breaks and things like that will determine the fact whether it's 5 hours or 8 hours that you're doing it for.
Right.
So whether it's 5 or 8 hours of Ali they're getting on a live break every week, then that's determined by the cards. But it must be a bit head spinny to think that people are actually interested to see content about and from Ali, almost regardless of the cards, So
sometimes I wonder if I made a good idea, it was a good idea to make, my Instagram is Ali from Titan, because that's how I'd always introduce myself in the video.
Yeah.
And then the Twitch channel is Ali from Titan. So my identity is tied to my job. So even though I'm Ali from Titan, it's I'm Ali.
Yeah.
From Titan. That, it comes with it.
Yeah.
So sometimes I wonder if that was necessarily a good idea. But people like, They like the channel. They come to my other content as well. I'm actually very surprised. On my personal channel, I don't do too much. It's nowhere near the volume of content that there is on the main channel. Actually, I think we're close to 800 videos on the Titan Cards channel by now. But I only upload maybe max 3 times a week on my channel. But there's still a lot of people that come over, a lot of subscribers. Yeah. I don't get too many views, but the numbers go up every day. So I'm just appreciative that people come to check it out. That people like me enough to just be like, what's Ali up to? Let me go take a look. So it's interesting.
Well, that's cool.
I haven't solidified how I feel about it. I feel good. And I said, the weird mind boggling that people care enough about me to check out where I am in different locations. I even actually started on Friday because I wanted to do it, because I also want to have for any rainbows I'm chasing, I want to have a quick reference of what I already have. But I started making an Instagram for my collection, starting off with all my different cards. Been uploading 2 pictures a day, and people have kind of flocked to it already, just checking out what's going on. Have, I think, a little over 100 followers over there just for people to look at my cards.
Okay.
So it's cool that people follow me to different places, and just, if they like cards, they like me, they want to check out what I have. It's a cool feeling.
Yeah,
for sure.
And clearly a relatively recent thing to still kind of be getting your head around. I guess you're so much in it and doing it that stepping back and appreciating it and thinking, okay, what does this mean? What could this mean? Should it mean anything, or should I just carry on just enjoying what I'm doing? I don't know.
Right.
There's all those potential things I'm sure going around in your head about it. Listen, I know folk dig seeing you do stuff. I know that you've got a lot of fans in the Marvel group from the Marvel breaks that you've done. I personally would relish seeing a blooper reel. Not that I'm suggesting that things ever go wrong, but I'm sure there's enough footage out there that you could cut one together with a comedy piece of music and have a good 2-3 minute bit of content. So if anyone's listening who wants to put one of those together for Ali, then please do. And I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to ask you. I don't think so. I think we've had a really good conversation about what you're into, how you got there. I know listeners of our who've seen your breaks. I mean, I know there were loads of us watching that Marvel anime break, especially because we saw Character Club. There's loads of collectors who collect certain characters. So there's a guy called Donald who was on an episode we did a few weeks ago who collects Doctor Strange. Yeah, the Doctor Strange archive website, and he's huge in Doctor Strange. He goes and exhibits and conventions and things.
I think
and there's some guys.
They reach out. That person reaches out to us to get all of our Doctor Strange cards when I open a new product. Yeah,
he does. He's on feed, and he was saying, "Oh yeah, she just pulled this, and she's holding it for me." And I'm like, "Yeah, we know, Don. She just said that she's doing that on Gears because we're watching it as well." So, there's people who collect Silk. There's people who collect Spidey. I collect Black Cat. There's people who collect. So a lot of the breaks that you do on the Marvel side actually work quite well for character collectors. Because the cards are I'm a Marvel ages as for character collectors. Marvel anime was pretty tricky, so I think folk dig it. Black Diamond's obviously the next one you'll probably be getting on with. I noticed there was a fairly recent post on Instagram where you're holding a box of Marvel annuals. So do you do kind of infrequent, not release Marvel breaks as well, that people might have personal breaks going on?
On occasion, the Marvel annual. I mean, I like the set, but it's you open up like 2 boxes, you have like pretty much everything you might be looking for. There's like some smaller insert sets, and the cards are cool, but I know not too many people were super crazy about it. It seems to have a pretty low print run based on the odds. I think I did the math based off the battle booklets, like a little over 500 cases. I mean, if you assume half of it goes to ePack, like there's not too much of it out there physically.
Yeah.
So we still have a few boxes of that. So every once in a while, someone will just pick off a box.
Okay.
Like you said, cool. It's guided by the cards. People, whatever they choose, their flavor of the week. Actually, we have a lot also of the recent Rittenhouse Star Trek Picard, because my boss was a big fan of that show, big fan of Star Trek, Next Generation and whatnot. So we have tons of that. He made himself a master set. He ordered 18 cases to get all the incentives in the archive box. So we'll have that for a while. So that's thankfully something we can still stock our shelves with, It's not completely empty. We still always have we'll have some Picard boxes. So I'm certain for the next several months here and there and again, be like a little box of Picard mixed in our live streams, just because people be like, I like non-sports like Star Trek. 2 autos a box, not bad. Let me try it out. So the annual recently, we're getting pretty low on it, but still have a couple boxes annual.
Cool. Do you, and I mean, the last question I wanted to ask, this might be like choosing a favorite child. What's your favorite ones to open at the moment?
Favorite stuff to open was Star Wars, because that's what I collect the most of. Big sketch collector. I really like printing plates as well. So I like when we get to open a lot of Star Wars product, because I get first crack at anything, call dibs on anything that I want. So that's really fun. And also recently opened up a lot of Upper Deck Series 2 hockey. Did 2 cases on release day for that. So big Tampa Bay Lightning fan. Hockey's my favorite sport. So I got to put together my little base set of the players and inserts and whatnot, collect all that. So that's especially fun when I get to open up stuff that I personally collect, because I don't have to go hunting on eBay. A lot of it's just right there in front of me. So yeah. But I'm very excited for Black Diamond, because I don't think he has autos, but there are a lot of low-key, it looks like. I saw a preview of like a gem card. Gem cards, even though I think they're manufactured gems, are still pretty expensive. So I don't know if I'll be able to necessarily afford it or want to pay what the asking price is on some of those cards, but I'm excited to see more Loki cards.
Yeah. So. And you'll be watching Loki on Disney Plus, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I'm actually going to put in the effort to watch it as the episodes come out. So that way I can't whine, I've already had spoilers, I can't watch it.
You sound really hard done by, I suppose I'd better put in the effort for it then.
I know. I'm bad about watching movies and watching TV shows. It's like someone doesn't drag me to see a movie. Like I'm not, if I don't make myself go on release date typically for movies, I just won't see it.
Yeah. But you dig it when you see it though. Yeah.
I do. I love being there, but I don't know. Yeah. Having the mental strength to sit down for 2 hours. Think about sitting down for like 2.5 hours. You're just not moving, not getting up. 100% concentration to me sometimes gets a little bit. I'm just so used to bouncing around between things. It's a good break though. When I do it, I love it. But sometimes working myself up to do it's a little bit of a struggle.
Well, it's like forcing yourself to stop, isn't it? Which a lot of people have trouble doing. Ali, I've loved talking to you. Thank you for spending a little bit of your Sunday morning. I'm really looking forward to watching your Black Diamond break. And maybe if X-Men Metal, you get that Rogue cosplay together, I'm sure there will be a few collectors. We've got a couple of Rogue collectors in the group, actually. So, including, actually, Elaine Perner, who's an artist, Tony Perner's wife, but she's an artist in her own right. She's a big Rogue, so I'm sure she'll be tuning in for that as well. Go off and enjoy the rest of your Sunday, because I know you have a busy week, so enjoy, chill out, relax.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us. And I say us. Obviously, no one is here in spirit, if not in physical or vocal form. Ali, you remember I told you how we sign off our podcasts?
Yes. This has been Ali from Titan. Thank you for having me, and I hope you all enjoy collecting.
Thanks for listening to the Marvel Card Collectors podcast. Visuals and tasting notes for each episode can be found on our Facebook page. You can subscribe and leave us a voicemail via our home on anchor.fm/MCCP. We're also on iTunes, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms. Please take a second to subscribe, like, and review our show wherever you get your podcasts. Our podcast can be found by Googling at the MCC Pod, which will also find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Our Facebook community is at MCCW, Marvel Card Collectors Worldwide, and MMC, Marvel Masterpieces Collectors. The great music we use is called Rocket Power by Kevin MacLeod. Thanks to the collectors, artists and creators who support the Marvel Cards Fan Collective. We'll see you next time, and remember, it's a small hobby but a fun one. Make mine Marvel and enjoy collecting.